Hey, welcome to another 5-pillar mobility session. Thanks for jumping in today. Let's start by finding a nice comfy spot. Lying flat on your back. Taking a few breaths to calm your mind. Paying attention to that breath and your surroundings. Just taking a few moments to feel present and find a nice state of calm. Today we're focusing on the hips and shoulders. So we'll take a few breaths, scanning through that whole body, starting with the toes and feet. On your next exhale, just imagine those toes and feet getting heavy, getting limp, just sinking into your mat. And take a breath at the knees. On the next exhale, relax through those quads. Feel the knees sink heavy into the mat. And take a breath through the hips. The next exhale, imagine those glutes deflating, the hip flexors letting go, the hips sinking heavy. And take one breath targeting the upper body. Next breath, relax through those pecs, your lats, the head and neck, your face. Let's take one more breath and slowly exhale and just feel everything get nice and soft and lax on that exhale. And we'll start with today's routine, focusing on the glutes. So let's grab a lacrosse ball and go face up on top of that lacrosse ball on the left side. And take a few seconds to pan through that tissue. Look for what area of the glutes need attention. It's much more useful to pay attention to how your body's feeling than it is to the video. Start in the general area, but do searching to feel out what needs attention for you. It might be the upper band of that glute, where your butt meets your back. It might be more on the outer glute. It might be more near the mid-belly area of the glute. The only way to know what needs attention for you is by testing it out. And once you've found a good spot that feels like it's tense and needs some attention, settle into the angle of tension, the amount of tension, how much we're leveraging into that lacrosse ball, and then focus on your breath. And imagine sinking your breath to that glute. As you let go of air, imagine that glute letting go of tension. We're going to hang out here for one more breath, sighing out that breath and taking our attention to the right side. And you may find this side is tense in the same area, it may be completely different, it might be more or less. It really depends on your activity lately, what you've been up to, what needs attention, your own specific anatomy. Just pan through it and feel out what areas are more tense than others. There might be a knot in the area. It might just feel physically different than the rest of the tissue. Once you've found that good area that needs attention, find the angle to lean on it to get that tension to start to settle down. Find the right amount of tension, how much body weight you're allowing to sink into that target tissue, and then focus back on your breath. Using your breath to calm your mind, using your mind to calm that target tissue. Mentally go into your happy place. We'll take one more breath here. Take your time sighing out that breath We'll move into the QL. So the QL is basically the outside of your lower back muscle. So on the left side, if you move just a few inches to the left of your low back, the QL sits along the outside, the lateral side of that group of muscles. And we find the best way to hit it is to elevate your right side off the mat to give a bit of an angle, so the ball is pressing more towards your spine. But that said, do some experimenting and feel out what position, what posture lets you leverage that tissue into the stimulus that it needs today. And then focus back on your breathing. Concentrate on relaxing that tissue as you let go of air. Focusing on quality breaths. Directing that air deep. And we let that air fill up that lower abdomen like you're blowing up your belly button. It helps us reach that state of calm that allows us to get into that relaxed state where we can heal and recover. One more breath here. As you let go of that breath, we'll switch sides. So let's pan through that right QL area, that low back. Do some searching along the length of that muscle. Feel out what is tense today, what needs attention. And then settle into the right amount of tension and pressure we're applying to help that tissue settle down. And what can be helpful here is moving your posture through a position that you tend to struggle with. If you struggle with the depth in a squat, keeping pressure on that QL while you pull that knee into your chest can help you free up that position. And also give you information about how that muscle behaves in the position of restriction. And these routines, remember, are choose your own adventure, choosing the exact location, choosing the amount of tension that helps your body recover. And that's going to be a little bit different for everyone. So just be in tune with how your body's responding. We never want to dive into pain, just pressure release. We'll take one more breath here. Slowly let go of that breath. And we'll move into some lumbar traction. So there's a few ways to tackle lumbar traction. One of the most accessible ways, not necessarily the most efficient, but the most accessible is on your box. Just letting your hips sit off the edge of the box. Keeping your arms relatively locked out. And just being sensitive to how the body's responding here. If the body starts to tense up, just ease up on that tension. The general idea is to get a subtle pressure release to create a little bit of space between your upper and lower half and give a little breathing room in that lower spine. Just take one more breath here. Take your time sighing out that breath. And move into a left side lizard. So back to your mat, stepping that left leg forward into a lunge position. And then dipping that torso towards your mat. You may find dropping to your elbows useful. If you don't have the mobility to get that low, just feel out whatever depth in the position lets you find the right amount of stretch to target that left glute. And then use your breath to calm that target tissue. Keeping a nice, relaxed, zen state of mind. Letting go of any stress or tension. Letting that mind find calm. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active. And as we get active, imagine stepping yourself out of the lunge by activating through that glute. And let's go ahead, starting with some nice easy pressure. Put some pressure into that left heel. Like you're pressing out of the stretch. Slowly ramping up tension as we go. Big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse. Squeeze through the hip flexors and abs. Try to actively pull your chest closer to the floor. Slowly ramping up tension as we go. Let's add some big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax. Get nice and passive. Fall back into that relaxed position. Turning off any muscle we don't need. Focusing back on your breath. We're finding depth here now. It's by relaxing, not by force. Let's take one more long, slow, relaxing breath here. As we let go of that breath, we'll switch sides. So stepping that other leg forward into a right side lunge. Dropping that torso towards the floor to target that right glute. And find that right depth into the stretch that feels right for you. Your version of lizard may look very different than the video, and that's okay. It's more important to pay attention to how your body's responding than what's quote-unquote right form or what aesthetically looks right. Your body will tell you if we're there. And once we're in that position, focus back on your breathing. Getting nice and passive in that target tissue. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active again by pressing that right heel into the floor, activating through the glute. And let's go ahead and start. Starting with a nice easy pressure. Imagine pressing yourself out of the stretch, using those glutes, slowly ramping up tension as we go. Big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, and let's reverse. Squeezing through that hip flexor, actively pulling that chest closer to the floor. Slowly ramping up tension as we go. So that's a big tension here towards the end. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out, relax. Get nice and passive into that lizard pose. Focusing back on your breathing. Turning off any muscle we don't need. And submitting to that stretch. And we'll take one more breath here. Long, slow, relaxing exhale. And we'll shift our attention into the upper body with a left levator release. So the levator sits on the upper inner corner, and connecting the scap to the neck. And if you're not an anatomy person, don't worry so much about the exact muscle we're on. Focus on the area. You might actually be on the traps, and that's okay. We're trying to relieve those stress muscles that work to elevate the scap. And finding that right amount of tension and pressure on that area to help that target tissue settle down. And one of your best tools to help that tissue settle down is your breath. Relaxing always starts with the mind, and the best way to control that is through your breath. If you can manage to sync your breathing to that target tissue, as if you're exhaling tension through that levator as you let go of air, that'll help you find that release. So let's take one more long, slow breath here. Relax that tissue on the exhale, and we'll switch sides. Panning through that right side, into those traps, levator area. Just working that area just above your right scap. Looking for what's carrying tension. And then experimenting with the angle. It can be helpful to move your arm into an overhead position here, to help relieve tissue in the position of restriction. Just be sensitive to what kind of stimulus you need. And every chance we get, circle back to your breathing, relaxing through that target tissue, staying in your happy place, and concentrating on finding calm. That state of calm is what's going to allow us to free up the tissue for better movement, better recovery, better relaxing, better stress relief. So just mentally staying nice and chill and allowing yourself to enjoy the moment. Let's take one more breath here. Take your time letting go of that breath. And move into the left subscap. So subscap's something we're going to be using quotes. Typically to hit the subscap, we need quite a bit of pressure. It sits on the anterior side of your scap, so it's tough to access, but the best location to hit it is basically through the outside part of that left armpit. And you can use your lacrosse ball, you can use your thumbs, you can use your fingertips, you can experiment with what we're using to create that tension or pressure, and then experiment with the amount of pressure. If we go too hard with tension here, we can get a little nervy, so pay attention to the stimulus. We're looking for pressure release. If you feel like you're losing any sensation down the fingertips, just back off on the pressure. Try adjusting your position and settle back in. Especially if you're new to this, always err on the side of going easy as opposed to going aggressive. As you get more in tune with your body and the stimulus it needs, we can gradually get more aggressive. So just be sensitive to how your body's reacting. I'll take one more long, slow, relaxing breath here. Take your time letting go of that breath. And we'll switch sides. So diving into that right subscap area. Again, we can use the thumbs, we can use the fingers, we can use the lacrosse ball. It is going to be easiest to get it if we get into an overhead to open up that tissue. Be sensitive to how it's feeling as we target it. Again, we do not want pain. We do not want numbness or tingling. We want pressure release. And you're in control here of all of that. So just be sensitive to how your body's responding. Generally, better pressure here will give us a deeper release. But we have to be conscious of how our body's responding. If we're going so intense with that pressure that something else is tensing up, it's a little too much. Just find that happy medium. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be pain. And the stimulus you need is going to be specific to you. This is about getting more familiar with your body. Let's take one more breath here. Take your time letting go of that breath. And we'll move into a child's pose. So this is just our standard child's pose. Your bowing position, arms overhead, leaning your torso back, your hips towards your ankles. And the goal is to target that upper body. Feeling for a subtle stretch in through that armpit area. Some of those other tissues we targeted. And we don't need a crazy amount of stretch. Just feel for what the body needs today. And use your breath to get as passive as we can through the shoulders, through your back, through your pecs, through your traps, turning off any muscle we don't need. In a few seconds, we'll gently get active. We're going to get active through depression by imagine pressing into the floor and dragging it towards your knees. Let's go ahead. Starting nice and easy. Imagine pulling your shoulder blades down the middle of your back, slowly ramping up tension as we go. Adding big tension here for the end. 3, 2, 1. Let's gently reverse that. Imagine pressing the floor away from you, keeping your arms straight as you can. Squeezing more tension through it as we progress. Big tension here to finish up. 3, 2, 1. Big breath out. Relax. Get nice and passive. Focusing back on your breathing. Using your breath to calm those target tissues. Mentally go into your happy place. And finding calm. We'll take one more good quality breath here. Slowly filling that lower abdomen. Letting go of that breath through the nose. And with that, we will call it a day. Thanks for joining us here today in 5-pillar mobility. Hope your whole body's feeling nice after that routine. I hope you have a great day. If you liked the video, remember to subscribe and like, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.